Hello everyone and welcome to Florida Tips for Brits. My name is Andrew and in today's video I'm going to be telling you how to avoid just plain old wasting your time on your trip to Walt Disney World. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you definitely want to do if you're going to avoid wasting your time at Walt Disney World is you're going to want to try and remember where you've parked your car. Now obviously if you're not in a car this isn't going to apply to you, but for those folks who are driving and parking at Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, those car parks are gigantic. And I know when you first get there in the morning or whatever, you're all going to be very, very excited. You're going to just get out the car and beat everybody to, Flight of Passage or wherever you might be going, and beat those lines and just get out the car and get into the theme parks as quickly as possible. But just take a second to make a note of where you've parked your car. Now the great thing is Disney does make this kind of easy because on the end of every row they will have numbers and a lot of the sections will have names. So for example, if you're at Magic Kingdom, you might be in the Simba section. They make it real easy, but just take a minute, better still, use that smartphone that I know you've got in your pocket and take a photograph of your row number. This is going to save you so much time later on. And you think I'm making this up, but when you go, you will see for yourself. I see it every single time. Folks just aimlessly wandering around these vast car parks with the keys over their head, pressing the button frantically, hoping for a sign, a flashing light or a beep of a horn just to give them some indication where they parked the car. I'm guilty of it. I've done it myself. Just you get out of the car, you've got the kids with you, everybody's all hyped up, excited, and you just think, where was it? Was it 101, 103, 107? Simba. No, it was Simba. I saw Simba. At least if you know what section you're in roughly, you've got half a chance. But seriously, just take a photograph. It takes 2 seconds and it could save you a bunch of time later on. All right, this next one might be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to say that park hopping can be a bit of a time waster. Now, hear me out on this one because I know park hopping is very popular and I've been guilty of this. I like to hop around as well, but when I actually stop and think about it, it's not necessarily the most efficient use of my time. So, for example, if you've never been to Walt Disney World before, these places are gigantic. So let's say you're at Magic Kingdom and you're right at the back of the park and you then decide that you want to go from Magic Kingdom and you want to jump across to, say, Epcot, which would honestly be the best case scenario. You would have to make your way all the way through the theme park and then you would have to get a monorail and the monorail would have to take you over to Epcot, then you'd have to clear security again at Epcot before you actually got into Epcot. Realistically, that's probably going to take you an hour, if not longer, depending on how busy the park is, if you have to wait for the monorail, how long the lines are at security. That is an hour is a super realistic length of time. It's probably going to be a bit longer. You could do it more quickly, I guess, if you really had a wriggle on, but that's an hour when you're just not doing, what you're doing. You're just traveling, aren't you? Basically, it's travel. So I think that park hopping can be a little bit of a waste of time. There are certain exceptions to that. Like, for example, if you go to, I've had it before where we turned up. I remember one time, I think it was Thanksgiving or something like that. So it was a really busy time of year. But we turned up to Hollywood Studios and the people were just here. Touch it. You just couldn't get anywhere. It was so busy. We were never going to get on any rides. We were never going to see anything. It was just pandemonium. So we just went out, got back in our car. I had a car on this occasion, and we just nipped over to Animal Kingdom, which was much better. So I guess in that case, yeah, it's worth it. But I think if you just fancy drifting about I would try and avoid it if possible, because like I say, you're going to be spending 30, 40 minutes, an hour just traveling, and while you're traveling, you're not doing anything, are you? Other than the traveling, of course. So yeah, park hopping. Unless there's a really, like a very specific reason for doing it, I would try to keep it to an absolute minimum. Okay, so this next one is just a huge waste of time, and it's so easily avoided, and that is standing in huge lines for things like your lunch. Okay, this might sound obvious, but if you go to a restaurant at or around lunchtime, everybody else has had the same idea, and the lines can be tremendous. Okay, even though there's tons of places to eat, it's not like there's a shortage, but the lines can be very, very long. It's not unusual to, you could stand in line for 30 minutes just to order your food, and then you've got to wait for your food, and you've got to eat your food. Again, before you know it, even a counter service, a quick service restaurant, if it's 30 minutes before you get your food, and then even if you wolf it down as quickly as possible, you spent an hour and a half just having your lunch. Now, it's important to take breaks, of course, but I'd rather just be sat down eating my meal or whatever. So a couple of ways you can kind of improve this situation. Number one, you can use the mobile ordering system. So you go through the My Disney Experience app, you order your food ahead of time, tell them roughly when you're planning to arrive, and then at the end of the rows where they'll have lots of different windows where people are picking food up, there'll be one that says mobile order only. You just go and stand in there. There's usually like maybe one or two people in front of you, and the food will basically be ready. And then the people are never in the line for long because, of course, they've said, I'm coming back at this time, and the food is, well, it's basically ready for them. So that's one way to do it. Another way, if you don't want to go down the mobile order route, is just to go for your meals at odd times. So, we normally go as early as possible. So like if the restaurant opens at 10:30, I'm having my lunch at like 10:30, 10:45. And you know what you're thinking, you probably think that's a bit early for lunch, but especially if you're going from the UK and it's the early part of your holiday, don't forget, America's 5 hours behind, Florida's 5 hours behind us in the UK. You're probably going to be getting hungry by that point anyway, so it works quite well. Or if you can hang on, go late for your lunch. So basically, avoid peak times because the difference is just unbelievable. Like if you go to a restaurant at say 11 a.m, by the time you're finishing your lunch at say 11:30, 11:40, the place will be getting packed out, but you're done. So all those people are then going for the lunch, and you can start hitting the rides up while everybody else is going for lunch. So it's a double whammy. You save time on the queue, but then also the queues for the rides are shorter as well, so you save a little bit of time there. So that's it's such an easy thing to do, but like people still go for the lunch at 12. I don't know what we're doing. We all go for the lunch at 12 o'clock and we all stand in huge lines. So don't do that. It's a massive waste of time. Right, staying on the theme of like food and beverage, the other one that's a huge waste of time is queuing up for coffee. Now, I love me some coffee, okay? I like a coffee as much, if not more, than the next man. But I am not standing in that Starbucks line. No way. At Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom seem to be the two parks where it's really super noticeable. Sometimes at Magic Kingdom, it's all the way down Main Street and it'll be snaking around inside. It's just don't do it. People go there in the morning, they're like, I gotta get my Starbucks before I do anything. That is probably one of the longest lines you're gonna stand in all day. While you're standing in line for coffee, I've done 3 rides because I'm just hitting the rides up. Go and get your coffee a little bit later or have one before you get to the theme park. Do not stand in line for coffee. If you think about it, not only are you spending a fortune for a Starbucks coffee at Walt Disney World, which by the way, get one, that's fine, just do it later on. But, you've paid a lot of money to get there and now you're just basically standing in line waiting for coffee. Do that before you get to the park or at least later in the day. Don't do it first thing. That line's just ridiculous. I'm begging you, don't do it. All right, next thing that can be a massive waste of everybody's time is the weather. Now, Florida is known for having itself some weather, especially in summertime. Afternoon thunderstorms are probably going to be a bit of a staple part of your day. Problem is with afternoon thunderstorms is they're thunderstorms, and that means that they come with lightning, and when they come with lightning, that means that some rides go down. So if you know that you can see that the clouds are gathering and things are starting to look grim, and you're standing in a line for something like Big Thunder Mountain or Slinky Dog Dash or Expedition Everest, there's a really solid chance that as soon as there's any lightning, they're going to shut that ride down. So you could have been standing on line for 30, 40 minutes, and then the ride goes down due to weather, and you either staying in line waiting for the thunderstorm or whatever to pass, which could be 20 minutes, could be 10 minutes, could be an hour. It's just a massive waste of time. I would recommend, along with the weather, just getting yourself something like a weather app on your phone. I normally use the local news station, West 2 News. They have like a Doppler radar on there, and you can literally go online and see where the weather is, where the lightning is, and stuff like that. And I've used that on many occasions because it's super accurate to like We were there last in September. I was there with my daughter, and we got caught in a huge thunderstorm at Magic Kingdom, and we were hunkered down in the Big Top Souvenirs, which is right at the back of Magic Kingdom, and it was absolutely bucketing down rain. Ava hadn't brought a poncho with her. She left it back at the hotel. I did have a poncho, she did not. But I also had all the camera gear with me and stuff like that. So she was like, well, you can't get the camera gear wet. I was like, I know. So I basically had the backpack on under the poncho. So we were waiting for a break in the weather, and I basically used the app, and I saw it, and I was like, right, there's a break in the weather, now we need to go. And we used that break in the weather to get all the way to the buses, get on the bus, and as we were on the bus like 2 seconds, that's a bit over dramatic. We're on the bus a couple of minutes, we were chatting to the bus driver, it was just us and the bus driver. And he went, oh, you did well to miss the weather. I'm like, I'm using the weather app. He's like, smart. That's what you need to do. You've got to use them weather apps, because if you can see the thunderstorm or the rain coming, there's no point getting in line for Expedition Everest, because it's gonna go down and you're just gonna be stuck there waiting even longer. So don't waste your time on the weather. Make sure that you get something like a weather app, get yourself up to date, and don't get caught out that way. The other thing is, if rides sometimes go technical, that's a nice way of saying they break down occasionally. If you can find a cast member, just ask them how long it's going to be. You can usually tell from what they say as to how bad the breakdown is. But if they start using language like, well, you can get out of line if you want to, that's kind of a nice way of saying it's well broken, this. So it could be quite some time. So just, gauge it, play it by ear. And I would say if they start using language like that, and it's a ride that you're not desperate to ride right now, or you maybe done before, I might consider getting out of line. Obviously, if it's the last thing on your to-do list, you might want to tough it out. But yeah, just be aware of that. Last thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to make some enemies here, is I think that shopping at Walt Disney World is just the biggest waste of time. Like, what are you even doing? Why are you even shopping at Walt Disney World? I know you want souvenirs. They have a website, it's called Shop Disney. Just go on there and get them. A lot of the time they're cheaper. No, but in all seriousness, if you want to shop for souvenirs at the parks, for the love of God, don't do it during normal operating hours. People don't know, or don't seem to know, that basically, let's say a park closes. Let's say, take Epcot for example. Epcot closes at say 9 p.m. Okay, lots of people leave. The major stores at Epcot, so like Creation Shop or Creation Store, I always get this wrong, Creation Shop I think it is, that stays open for 1 hour after park closing. So go and do your shopping after park closing. You can't ride rides after park closing, but you can shop. Whereas during the day, you can ride rides or shop, but people still shop. I don't get it. Do it after park closing. It's just like a free extra hour for just souvenir shopping. Likewise, say Magic Kingdom, for example, all the shops on Main Street, all open an hour after park close. So don't waste your time during the day standing in long lines for merchandise. Do it after that. A lot of the time as well, by the way, this is like a little hack that, like, gosh, I didn't even know about this for ages and I can't believe it. You can do mobile checkout. If you look for these, they have these little things in the shop that say mobile checkout. You use the app, you scan the QR code on there, you can pay via the app. You just pick your stuff up and leave. You don't even have to stand in a line in the shop. So there's another little time-saving thing for you. Don't be standing in lines, don't be shopping. Or if you're shopping, shop afterwards, or use the mobile checkout or something. You'll use the website, whatever. Just don't do it during the day. It's a waste of time. So thanks so much for watching this video. Hopefully you found it useful or at least entertaining. And if you're done here now, you might want to check out this video next. Thanks for watching.